Tighten up your shot group, the drill sergeant says to the recruit. And I've heard that many a times because, well, military. And it especially sounds like sound advice coming from someone in the position of authority. But what's going on in the recruit's mind? How do I tighten up a shot group? Yeah, no shit, tighten up a shot group. What that means to anyone who's not in the military is you need to shoot a grouping that is tighter. So you need to improve your marksmanship skills. But that's not real advice. Nowhere in that statement is there an actual action that could help a soldier improve his marksmanship, or her. And so back in the day, I always went back and asked NCOs who gave advice like this, what do you mean? What do you mean tighten up? That's a nice way of saying no shit, Sherlock. What the fuck? But what do you mean tighten up your shot group? Do you mean you need to work on trigger control? Do you have to work on recoil control? Do you have to work on the shooting stance? Do you have to work on your breathing? Do you have to work on your sighting system? Do you have to understand how to aim iron sights? All of those are actionable points, but tighten up your shot group is bullshit advice that sounds like advice, but it's not real advice. And I think that's really important for us to identify that in life in general, is what is bullshit advice. Another one I've seen online in the last few years, stop being poor. No shit, stop being poor. That's actually worse than bullshit advice. That is maliciously bad advice, because usually if you're telling someone to stop being poor, they're having financial issues and you're egging them on to buy something they don't need. So when you're saying stop being poor, that is stop being poor, or stop being a poor. That is absolute bullshit advice. How shall I stop being poor? I mean, even rob a bank so you can buy it it's not good advice, but it's advice more than stop being poor. I am not encouraging people to rob banks to purchase things of their desire. But as we look at this bullshit advice, I think more importantly, more interestingly, is where is this advice coming from? And oftentimes I think bullshit advice says more about the advice giver than the advice receiver. I think sometimes if someone gives you bullshit advice, and especially if they're in a position of power, it has an illusion of being real advice. But it also tells me that that person doesn't really understand how to give good advice to help that person get out of the situation they're in. Stop being poor. Okay? You're clearly not telling someone to stop making poor financial decisions. So let's look at how to make good financial decisions instead. Probably it's not buying that bullshit that you're sending them images of or links of and telling them to stop being poor. Probably it's also advice like, go get a job. Now, frankly, maybe, there are a lot of people out there, or there are some people out there who would coast by with unemployment, who would coast by without getting a job and having no purpose in life. So at least that's a little bit more of advice. But another piece that I've also heard is, you should find a good girl. A lot of men are trying to find a good girl. A lot of decent women are trying to find a good guy to be with. That's not actual advice. Actual advice would be, I know this is hard to hear, but we may want to work on your appearance a little bit so you could actually get some response if you're talking to people. Maybe we could go hang out and do this activity, because I know there's some pretty decent people there, and maybe you'll meet someone nice. Maybe you want to consider talking to people in real life as well, outside of the app, because it seems to me that the app, there's a lot of people who are just participating in hookup culture and just doing one-night stands, and frankly, the odds are not stacked for you as a guy on dating apps anyways. So you should find a good girl. Absolute bullshit. Oh, you're going to a wedding. You should talk to some of the girls out there who are hanging out. Maybe you'll find someone nice. That's better advice. So, if you're the advice giver and you're telling people, tighten up your shot group, go find a good girl, stop being poor, there should be a real introspective moment there. If you're the drill sergeant telling people to tighten up your shot group, first of all, get fucking good. Which, by the way, that is bullshit advice if you don't follow it with actual actionable improvements, which I will tell you, if you're a drill sergeant and you're giving advice like that for marksmanship, you ought to be focusing on their actual body structure. What are they doing there? What are they doing with their trigger? Is it psychological? Is it physical? Is it something to do with breathing? Is it something to do with their sighting system? All of those things you ought to look at before you tell someone to just tighten up their shot group. And if you're not the SME, subject matter expert, if you're not the expert in this field, one, maybe work with them in finding someone who is, so they can improve what they're doing. That would be more useful than giving bad bullshit advice. If you're telling someone to stop being poor, you should maybe do some self-examination on why you're giving someone who is having financial trouble advice like that. If you're on the receiving end, try to look at the advice and identify, is this advice or is this an end state sugar-coated as advice so someone could say it and sound like they're smart. So, we're going to receive a lot of advice in life. It's going to be a lot easier to be able to identify that portion of the pie that could be considered absolute bullshit advice. That said, I love shooting this thing, and I really wish there are more of these things around. Actually, I'm glad we don't have more of these things around. I'm very glad about that. I'm very happy speaking English instead of Deutsch. And I'll see you guys around.